What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Quasi Qaos Podcast.
So that's what we're calling it?
We're calling it the Quasi Qaos Podcast.
Sick.
Yeah.
Put that in the prompt.
Yeah.
Put that in the prompt for the icon.
But it's chaos spelled with a Q. Q-A-O-S.
Interesting.
Wouldn't that be
I
pronounced
think that's just him
Quaos?
spelling chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be just Quaos?
It's chaos.
Okay.
We're being bougie.
Okay, perfect. Alright, well I guess we can go around the table introducing ourselves.
Yeah. So...
I can start. Whoa, okay.
Okay.
Because I'm on the edge of the table. My name is Thomas. I like AI, maybe a little too much. And yeah, I'm a member of Quasi.
Yeah. My name is Shantanu. I also like AI, and I'm a creative person, so I love talking about like creative stuff regarding AI.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm also a part of Quasi, and I'm like a people person, and I also like AI.
Hello, I'm Jack. I'm a software developer at Quasi. I also like AI.
As if it wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
Otherwise you wouldn't be here.
We're all here. How's it looking?
I don't know. We got a doctor on here.
It's just like
What the heck? Okay, for context.
We'll put it up on the screen.
We'll just add him on the podcast.
Yeah,
like,
no, but what I'm saying is, like, we're using Midjourney right now to generate content.
Do we even need context for it?
Like, sometimes.
That's fire though, I can't lie.
Okay.
I like it.
What is it? What was your prompt?
And my prompt was, it was podcast logo for AI Quasi Qaos Qaos.
What was the last word?
Qaos.
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 Qual.
It's kind of goofy, but it worked.
All right. Whatever works. Yeah. So, there's been a lot going on in the AI space, especially with ChatGPT completely blowing up.
Yeah.
Things have been cranked up to an 11. So, I don't know.
I think that part of the reason why we want to start this podcast is one, because we have we have a bunch of discussions about AI in the future, like on Tuesday nights frequently, and we've gotten a bunch of good, interesting ideas from it, and we thought it would be good to record it. One, for other people, if they might find it interesting, but two, for ourselves, for if one of our future predictions ends up being right, we could point to the YouTube clip.
Yep.
And be like, there it was, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, last time we talked about, what we think is going to sort of happen in, the short term. I guess with just technology and AI specifically. Were you there, Alex, when you were talking about VR?
No.
Okay, well,
That'd be a good place to start it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We were talking a lot about VR, and, 2022 was the year of AI, and the end of the year of crypto. End of the crypto cycle, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this year potentially could be I think AI will definitely continue into this year, but VR could also explode this year.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of pent up excitement, especially with Apple and their there's a lot of interest for Apple to release their VR headset, which should be coming around March. And so, as that excitement pents up, there's going to be a lot of press around the VR space as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something we kind of mentioned earlier was that a lot of things in VR are very eye candy. They're very easy to look at and be inspired by, because it's something visual, emulations are so close to us as humans. It's so easy to understand that they could be applied or used in your daily life. And I think a lot of developers are going to be distracted by this easy eye candy that people are going to grab for, and that will be one of the most important impacts on AI. The interest will move away from it because of its openness. Yeah.
I also think it'll be interesting how people can be more creative, because when you can completely disassociate yourself from what's going on in the real world, you can create anything you want. You don't need to create a land of imagination in your mind or with words or music. You can do it physically and then augment that with your own words and music also.
Yeah. Well, will it be what do you think is going to be bigger, AR or VR? Fully immersive VR things or like AR world laid over the physical world?
I think one of the things that people are gonna see short term is AR, but VR is gonna win
Really?
the long term game.
Usually people think the other way around. Like
Yeah.
short term, you're gonna see VR because the tech is easy.
Exactly. Well, the thing is that like a lot of people are gonna see AR's capability, especially in the work environment. Where like one of the things that like MKBHD did like a tweet video about it, where he had like multiple screens up in front of his MacBook, and he could just use like virtual screens, do virtual calling, do conferencing. Those are a lot of AR-based capabilities. And also with Apple's VR headset, they're doing pass-through. So they're going to use cameras to make an AR experience with a VR headset.
So it like the current theory is, I guess, is that it's going to be a VR headset with cameras.
Yes, there's going to be 12 cameras on it, which is crazy.
How much are on the Oculus? Do we know?
Like
I think like 8.
4.
It's like, yes,
Oh. Like it could be 8. It's
Well-
definitely a lot.
well,
Especially
the
the-
Meta
no,
Quest Pro should have more cameras. The
Mhm.
base one is probably going to have like 4. The Pro's like 8 maybe, I think.
Yeah.
But bottom line is there's going to be a lot of cameras to make the pass-through environment to convert VR into AR more of a reality. But I think what's going to happen is that people are not going to want to associate themselves with this new tech in the real world. They want to just fully immerse themselves into a completely fictitious world. And because of that, VR is going to be the long-term winner.
Yeah, and so is Disney, because when they released the first
That's
when
so
they
true.
released the first VR Star Wars game, the world's over for like
my
6
God.
months.
So bad,
That's
yeah.
true, yeah.
It's like the hot. What was the thing I told you? It was like the Adderall industry in crypto. It's like there was an Adderall shortage, and then like in the crypto market, it was like.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting to see.
Dev productivity, Disney VR games.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But no, I agree with you. I think VR is going to win in the long run, just because like people are getting to the point in their lives where like if you're not fully immersed, you're missing out, right? If everyone else does it, you need to join in. But I feel like I also think that for the short term, AR will definitely win. Like just the application of being able to have 2 monitors for me, that is so worth it for me as a developer, right? So I honestly see that happening for the next like 15 or 20 years, staying in the AR realm, and then going on to VR obviously in the future.
Also, just having like being able to like just spit out ideas and have them like stay around you in like you know, I don't know, however you take notes. I know he takes notes in like drawings, but imagine if you could just like instantly put one up. Like
That'd be cool.
yeah,
No, I could just see Toma's like entire like AR experience is just completely cluttered like a Mac desktop,
Mm-hmm.
just full of just files that you have to sift through, and it's just you can't even see the person in front of you.
Yeah,
anymore.
I
There's
just be like,
so many
wait, I
drawings.
gotta move the things to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I could totally see that happening. But yeah, I think like along the lines of like pure fictitious environments, like I know there's a lot of companies that are trying to create like new realities or new verses. Kind of like, you know, with Fortnite or like Roblox, everyone's trying to create their own little world for people to be immersed in.
And there's definitely going to be a gold rush of like, if/when Apple releases their VR headset, it's going to be a gold rush of everybody being like, well, now I got to develop a VR app. Like, let's take like notebook paper and put it in, 3D. Let's take like the Grubhub and put it in 3D. And then it'll be like, let's take Outlook and put it in 3D.
Yeah.
I think like we're gonna see like this has just been a trend with just startups and new technologies coming out, like with Web3, with crypto, like everything becomes Web3 product, crypto product, with AI even. When ChatGPT blew up, everything was ChatGPT this, ChatGPT that.
How to make money with ChatGPT.
Exactly. Yeah, it's everywhere,
right?
yeah.
And now with AR and VR, the same thing is going to happen. And I know that there are going to be like fail safes for kind of the market, like kind of expanding and retracting. And I think crypto and Web3 were not well poised to handle the retraction. AI is doing a little bit better, or at least we're better suited for it.
Mm-hmm.
AR and VR is going to be heavily moderated by, I think, what Apple does with the initial apps that are on the experience.
I also think that like given the group of people with disposable income to like really transition to VR and AR in the short term are gonna have trouble doing it because they're just older. And I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have seen your parents try to use a VR headset, but it's like pretty funny.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be like individual apps that make huge breakthroughs in usability that'll really kind of change the scene, and then people will follow them.
What do you think those apps will be?
No idea. Definitely not Outlook though. It's not even usable in 2
Yeah,
No, not even AI can fix Outlook. Like, oh my god.
it's terrible.
Yeah, but I think, like, I know Thomas has Thomas has asked the question to a lot of people, like, which is going to be bigger, VR or AI, and a lot of people were saying VR, but like.
Or I asked them which was going to be bigger, the metaverse or AI,
And
they said the metaverse,
which
I still disagree with, purely based off of like what is the end goal of the metaverse? Is like the end goal of the metaverse is still like huge, it's to create it's like a virtual world. But like, what is the end goal of AI? The end goal of AI is like the singularity, which is like huge.
I mean, even if we think about it on just like a more practical sense, I like when I went to India over break, there were people that were using Whisper, or a version of Whisper to communicate with the government. And basically someone used they pre-trained their own model of like the Indian government documents, and basically was able, based on like a local language, transcribed to Hindi, converted to GPT-3 to get a customized output back to the person. And that's just with AI and ChatGPT that came out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That level of impact in a developing country to get that stuff in a rural zone is completely like different than the metaverse's adoption rate. It's like 0. Like no one cares.
Yeah, well, I think it's harder for people because I think like they see stuff so visually, like your human mind even, right? Like when you see things, you can feel their impact more. And I think that like people can like imagine themselves using AR, but they don't imagine themselves like really using AI because its applications are slightly more embedded to them, like on a day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But obviously that they will be way more than the AR could probably help them in their lifetime.
I also think that it's one of those things where like the cliff to jump into the world of AI is way simpler, and it's like less steep than going into like AR or VR or just the metaverse in general. And so there's going to be a noticeable learning curve for both technologies, but as AI gets more and more advanced, I mean, we're making it so intuitive that eventually there's no cliff.
Yeah, I think that there's very little, like, in order to start make an AI product, there's very little, like, that needs to go into that. And I think that will help and also hurt AI, but I think that's something that definitely will help AI is that, like, crypto was very closely tied to money. In that, like, when you think of a crypto product, you think of a coin or, like, some sort of security or something. And that fact that it was so closely tied brought a lot of mass adoption because it was so, like, linked, you could see the value, it's literally money, that it brought a lot of, like, scammers that created fake value, vaporware. Whereas with AI, everybody can see the value. It's really easy to get to the value, but it's hard to get to like the deeper, bigger value. And it's not as closely attached to money. So there's less of like a scam incentive because it's hard to scam. Like if you're in that deep, you might as well just make a product that people actually want.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So I think it'll like AI as it gets more and more adopted will leave a better taste in people's mouths. But I also think that there'll be a lot of like AI content everywhere, and there will be a period where people get like sick of it and try and like revive the older thing. So there'll be a little bit of revival, but then it'll come back. Sort of like how like records, I guess.
Yeah. I also think that one thing that's interesting is I associate with like the advancements that are happening in AI to be similar to like when the first personal computer came out. And the one difference that I see with the like adoption, and I know you have a really good analogy with like Excel and spreadsheets about this, but one of the big things that's different from like the 70s to now like 2023 is like marketing and fear mongering. I think there's a lot higher percentage of fear mongering people that want to get clicks and want to get attention and will just show the detriments of new technologies to get more awareness about them. And that was not nearly as prevalent in the 70s, besides the classic 1984 book, which there was a viral marketing campaign that kind of quelled that.
Yeah. Also, I think that going back to the point of making content and the revival of that as AI takes over, I think it'll become more people want to share what they're thinking about, kind of like what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And so people will kind of create to share as opposed to kind of create to sell. And so it'll be more homey and nice, hopefully.
I think that the content space is definitely going to change in that there will always be a space and a reason to create content as a group and to share it with other humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that ever going away. But I see the content that people make not to be shared with their close friends and not that that sort of content. I don't know how to describe it, but beyond that. But I think that will AI is really poised to take that content and make it a lot more engaging and valuable for everybody.
Do you think that, as far as major platforms go, do you think that some are going to choose to accept AI content and some are going to be super strict and ban it?
Oh, for sure.
Because I kind of imagine I could see Instagram definitely going the route of let's ban it. It's supposed to be interpersonal, that kind of stuff. But I feel like Facebook might swing a different way. I feel like Reddit could, or Twitter could.
Reddit's already started banning certain subreddits that are AI generated. And also, I don't know if you guys saw, but Getty Images has sued Stable Diffusion, the company.
Yep.
That was today, right?
That was today. Or at least the press release was today.
Yeah.
And I think regardless of how much quote unquote censorship you can do for AI content, it's still going to take over. And there's just no way to get around it. So these companies that are so adamantly against it are just destined to fail.
But I can see a legacy path if they were to take a hard anti-AI stance. I could still see it be viable. Is it going to be the Instagram? I think Instagram could do it, but they're still not most of the content on Instagram isn't interpersonal sharing. That's more of a Snapchat-esque, Be Real-esque app that I could see surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Instagram gets changes completely culture-wise, but I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could even be kind of how today BeReal is the app bucking the system for traditional social media. It might be that some other platform comes up that is so strictly against AI, it becomes popular because of that fact that it is meant for only humans. In the same way that BeReal kind of is in that same vein, right?
But I think that a company to take a very, very hard anti-AI stance and getting clout for it can only happen if there exists a platform that is solely AI.
Yeah.
Because
Quasi. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because people can't. They right now they don't need an anti-AI platform because that's all. There's very little AI content out there.
But also, in order for that anti-AI platform to be successful, hypothetically, right? The marketing strategy around it needs to be pure nostalgia. An example I'll give is Burger King and their new packaging. It's a very nostalgic 80s retro vibes, but there's a modern twist to it. And I love how they've branded it, but there needs to be a similar level of nostalgia to pre-AI era, the 2010s.
The Kodak cameras. I
exactly,
think
right? Or
exactly
Polaroids even, right?
Yeah,
Bringing back, Polaroid could totally make a complete shift and bring back a traditional wave.
Mm-hmm.
It already has started. A lot of college students buy Polaroids for that nostalgia reason.
Yeah, I did. And and there was even filters on my phone that I could have used to make the same aesthetic type of pictures. But the idea of just bringing around one camera is just so different than traditional pictures. I think it's it stands out for that reason.
But also another thing to be cognizant of is that Be Real, as of 2023, is essentially failed, right? They're a fad. The trend is gone.
I think a lot of social media, I think that when social media started on the internet, think MySpace, I guess. This is definitely before our time.
Mm-hmm.
But and even Facebook. when these companies started, they thought that their product would be a lot more sticky, and so did investors, than it actually turned out. It's like once you're on MySpace or once you're on Facebook, you're just going to stay there. But the truth is that like there's a huge boom and bust cycle with AI where like people are not sticky at all. They will change depending on the trends.
Yep.
People like went from MySpace to Facebook, they went from Facebook to Instagram, they went from Instagram to Snapchat, then they went from Snapchat to TikTok, they went from TikTok to Be Real. And it's like every few years
Precisely.
is a new.
And like I mean, if we do like a similar AI train with how social media worked, it could be something like the original GANs, like the original image models, then to DALL-E, then to Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and then all the other like forks that happened in the road. Like there was a similar trend, which is also kind of interesting to see, like what keeps the maximum retention from like a business perspective, but also just like from a pure consumer perspective, what do people care about? Like what is exciting?
Yeah.
I also think people tend to like want completely separate spaces that are on demand, and it'll be a while before AI generated content can really like immediately know when someone says no, someone just doesn't want a certain type of content, which is why someone right now might go to Twitter for some things and like Facebook for some other stuff.
Yeah. But eventually that will happen. But I think that it's interesting how there are some social media platforms that I've just like stayed the test of time. Like Reddit and YouTube specifically, they have just lasted.
Yeah, well, I think that one of the reasons could be like I think YouTube in particular is they're more of a, like there's the most vague platform. You can kind of make it what you want, right? Like they're really just like a video sending platform. That's all they really do, right? So you can make your channel what you want. You can make your community how you want, and build it out from there. So like they're like, and Reddit as well, right? Reddit is it's so vague, really. In general, you just post text. You can do whatever you want. So they're almost more like infrastructure than social media, in my opinion.
All right, we are approaching the halfway mark, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. When do you think GPT-4 is going to launch?
Mid-February.
Mid-February? Okay.
Public release April 1st.
Oh, wait.
Like April Fools would be such a good release date for GPT-4.
That would be really
Wait, are we
good.
talking about like public? Are we talking about like beta? Or I think beta mid-February, public release like around late March, beginning of April.
Yeah, I'll swing the same way. I have no reason not to.
Okay. I think that it's actually going to be May.
Why?
When it gets
Because he's a hater.
beta?
No, like, so what's going to happen is that closed beta is going to be February, March, and then public beta is going to be, like, still like the how they did with DALL-E 2 is like a closed public beta where like they're just starting to get like a bunch of people off the wait list. That's going to be April, May. In May, they're going to just be like, all right, it's a free-for-all, API is open. Like the API will open in May, but the public beta will be open in April. That's my thought.
Yeah. Well, they definitely have more experience scaling like systems now with all the ChatGPT rush and
all the new money for Microsoft.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think they're more prepped than you imagine. But I also think that demand is going to be if it can do like once the initial leaks come out and people see like the multimodal aspects and like if they can deliver this, it could be huge, right?
But I also think that there could potentially be a similar trend to what happened with DALL-E, which is in the closed beta there was a lot of hype because only like 100 or 1,000 people were posting content about it. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Once everyone started using it, like if we just talk about DALL-E,
the hype, like with AI with AI tech, the hype is like. For a 2-week period, it is like literally takes over the entire world, and everyone's like, "Oh, this thing called AI that we've been talking about our whole lives is real." And then it's like, okay, well then 2 weeks later, it's like,
exactly. It's like a very similar like media and hype curve. But also, what we saw happen with DALL-E 2 is when DALL-E 2 got released as a public beta, when we all got access to it, then Midjourney started doing better, Stable Diffusion came out, and there were all these other like companies that created better versions of DALL-E. And then people stopped using DALL-E or the usage is way less because the quality is not there.
I'm wondering what's going to happen with Microsoft and like Microsoft allowing its competitors to use chat or just like OpenAI's products in general. I kind of just don't trust any big tech giant to like, you know, follow the rules. So I don't know. I feel like, especially with their like increased control, I don't think they're gonna stop like getting more equity now. I think they're gonna continue to buy more and kind of cut out their competitors from using them.
I think like we were looking at like that like visual chart of Microsoft's like revenue and costs. I think their revenue split is Azure right now, but I think a huge part of it is going to become OpenAI.
Yeah.
And it'll be so big that it'll just become its own section. And I think that is something to be on the lookout for. And then two, I just want to give mad props to Microsoft. They're like the best VC out there. Like they invested in OpenAI at the like perfect time, and just it's been very interesting. Like their investments in different companies have kind of been leading to this AI trend. Like they got GitHub, they got LinkedIn for content, they got all these other things.
Azure, they're very like VS Code took over the world.
Yeah.
And Copilot, like Microsoft is very developer focused, unlike any other big tech company, except maybe Google.
Yeah, but also what's so interesting is that even with like Copilot, the head engineer for the AI system, the supercomputer at Tesla, says 90% of his workflow developing the Tesla like full self-driving AI is done by Copilot. It's not even like he doesn't even do it himself. Yeah. And so I think that's also to boast like the huge capabilities of just Copilot and just GPT-3, Codex, all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, I use it a ton for work, right? For building a Quasi system. So, no, I definitely agree. Well, it's kind of like Copilot is a system that's building more systems, right? And the humans are kind of becoming lesser and lesser managers of their own code as you go on. They're becoming higher level in control of what they're building out.
AGI, the singularity.
Like, do each of you guys feel safe about your jobs?
Yeah. Well, I'm like a surfer. I can ride the technology, but I feel like a lot of people can't. I think, what?
I think that, like, if you don't use Copilot, like, you're going to be replaced by somebody who does.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that devs are going to go away because Copilot can do some things, but it can't do everything. And
it doesn't get a high-level picture yet.
Yeah, it's
at some point it can, though. That's the thing. Like,
you need the abstraction of, like, I need to tell a human what to code, and then the human mind can translate that into a bunch of Copilot requests, and then it gets written.
And also adding on to that, I was talking to my friend Ron, and we were saying like, what will like coding environments and IDEs look like in the future? Because really, like having all the lines of code is kind of trivial for now. But at some point, when you're working at a higher level, you might not need stuff like that anymore. You might just need higher level.
The return of Scratch.
Advanced or Scratch.
Thomas and I were watching this show like a couple days ago, Severance. Like the UI that they have for their employees, I could totally see like developers just clicking a number that feels scary for Copilot to go fix. You know, it's like
just look at this super abstract. It's like look at this abstract, just like huge data set of numbers on your screen, and then just tell me what the vibes are, and then I'll do the rest.
Yeah. It's like, oh, the vibes in cluster 4 feel a little off, so now we're gonna completely change all of AI video.
It's like the vibes in this area are off, and then you look at like the app, which you have like next to your IDE, then like the entire thing changes. It's like the entire vibe of the app is different, and the entire UI. Yeah. And you're like, okay, let's see how I feel about that.
Yeah. And I was saying too, I feel like coders are becoming more designers because like the actual like functions you're writing and like the variables you're changing is becoming less important, but the UI is being prioritized and like the higher level controls we said before.
What % of programming do you think is trivial? Like that has been, by trivial I mean that like that has been done before, all you need to do is look it up.
Probably 90% of what I do is trivial. And we're pushing the boundaries of like computer science all the time, right? And I think like, yeah, I'd probably say 90% is trivial.
So like, what in the 10%, do you think that that's going to increase or decrease as time goes on? Like, do you think a developer's job will be like 100% non-trivial or like 100% trivial? That is like the AI can do like everything.
I think it's going to be worse. I think it's going to be, we're going to have to review the AI code in a way. Because until we get to the point where AI can truly double check itself and like truly ensure that there's no critical bugs, right? You need someone to verify for you. And you need someone that understands at a high level and a low level if need to be where those bugs can occur.
Not low
So
Sounds so
it's gonna be worse. It's gonna be the worst of both worlds because you should double check it basically.
like constant debugging.
Yep, that's not gonna be fun.
Well, I mean, then they're like, but at
Is
least that's a job
Is
opportunity.
debugging trivial?
Definitely not. But I think
Definitely.
but I
it
also
could
feel
be.
like it's a good this is a really bad like analogy, but they could be like the janitors of the engineering team. You know, it's like they clean up the code.
Honestly, that's valid. Yeah, because like I think as well, like I don't know. You were saying before AIs could do debugging, and I was thinking about it, and theoretically, yes, they could. But at that point, it's like, what is this human supervision even really doing if the AI is fixing its own bugs and building its own systems?
It's telling the AI what
It's like
to
the
do.
ship.
Yeah, you're just a manager, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think developers that can ride the wave are going to become managers in a way.
What about like
And then,
what can AI not do? What things are safe from AI? Like jobs.
Long term or short term?
Long, like I'm talking long term.
well, okay. I think, so there's a model called Pointy that was released by, it was OpenAI, right? Which is text to 3D model as well as image to 3D model. And I think as there's going to be a big wall between pre-Point-E that can make like incredible models and post-Point-E that can make incredible models. So like, for example, my gut reaction was infrastructure jobs, right? People who build, people that can grow crops, like that kind of stuff is pretty darn safe for now because you need the energy, you need the resources, you need the materials. But when AI can start creating, can make design plans for a building, and then it can source the
Like
materials it needs for that,
build it.
and it can run the machines that get those materials for you. The question becomes, well, even those jobs which you thought were solidified in like regards to deep infrastructure, like really low level infrastructure, are now also automatable. So I don't know. I think after a Point-E comes out that can really change engineering, I think a lot of stuff's on the table.
I think service jobs are going to stay. Having a person be there to like make you curate your experience is really important.
Like in like the food in like
Yeah,
restaurant.
Food, hotel,
Yeah.
hospitality.
Even things like a butcher. Like I wouldn't trust if I were to click a button and get a piece of meat. There's something about like going there and having an interaction at a
seeing them
deli
just
or
like-
yeah.
No, I can see that.
How about sports?
I want to see people on the most cracked out like steroids they can run into each other on the field.
It's a good question, actually. I don't know about sports because I mean, the goal is to entertain, right? And if AI can do a better job entertaining than humans can.
I think in the sports umbrella, the WWE can be fully automated by AI. I legitimately believe
That's true.
like it's all scripted anyway. When we get like Imagine Video or whatever Dolly Video becomes,
Mhm.
like we're gonna be chilling with WWE. Like
Yeah.
I don't think we need any wrestlers anymore.
Yeah.
I want to see like the craziest wrestlers. I want to see like Bill Gates wrestle like Gandhi or something. like the most crazy wrestle matches ever, and
No, I know.
like to the death.
I also think though people don't like if things are predetermined, which has odd connotations
true.
with religion.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
if you want to root for a team, you don't want that team to be predetermined to win. Like you want
It won't be predetermined.
well,
Well, to them it won't, but
it'll feel like it. Like
Yeah.
you need to believe that it's truly like your team that's doing it.
Well, I think like another aspect too is kind of like you want your contributions to affect the team. So like, you go to like a basketball game, right? Your cheering can affect the team, and there's definitely a value to that, right? Like being in person versus watching on TV. Like obviously there's different like emotional things that happen in the game, but like I feel like being able to kind of influence it, even in your microscopic way, brings that identity, brings that like entertainment value.
Arguably, also a concert, like a live concert.
Exactly.
A similar thing happens where artists can have good or bad days based on how the audience vibes with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think, we went to the AJR concert in Seattle. They were vibing so hard with us because we were being so receptive. Or at least the mosh pit was being.
The
I mean, mosh pits are mosh pits, but
yeah.
like I think that's also an inherently like human thing, which is very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what AI could and couldn't replace. I was thinking that one thing AI can't replace is like the want to do things. Like an AI can make music,
Mm-hmm.
but like does it want to listen to it? Like no. Only a human can want to listen to a song. And it's also like AI can create text and things, but like only a human can say it. And then if the human puts themselves behind it, now it has like an additional thing to it.
Oh,
That makes sense.
I had a kind of related idea. So basically I had a thought that I was thinking that Quasi and the other related people that we work with in entrepreneurship could run a really, really good Etsy store that sells walking sticks, right? And the thing is that like I don't like going to Walmart and buying a walking stick is the most unsatisfying thing ever.
Just
right?
pick up a stick off the
Oh.
ground.
Yeah, no, exactly. But if someone found a walking like a stick and was like, this is destined to be a walking stick,
Wait, that'd
and
be
like
fire.
sold it, I don't know. I feel like I could be convinced to buy something like that, especially
Yeah.
if I was
Yeah.
going on like an adventure or like walking the Appalachian
You could put a
Trail or
story
something.
behind it too. And
Yeah.
say, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just people wanting to share things is like another person wanting to share it also makes it important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much, this is related to what you said. How much of a thing is story value?
A lot.
A huge
Yeah.
A
Like
lot.
greater than 50%
Oh,
of that
for
thing?
sure. I
Yeah.
think at least 75%.
What is the story value of this?
Like,
Is story
Well,
value
it
the same for
depends on the
every
story.
object, or is it different?
So, like, for example, like, I think, like, for me, like, when I go on a trip, right, the best souvenirs for me are, like, the little, like, carving of an elephant or something. Like, it's not the best thing I could buy for my money, right? But it's, like, the idea of it, the story of it, if that's on my desk, the reminder of it, it's, like, the object is the story, right? So, in that case, like, for souvenirs, right, that's the entire reason you buy souvenirs, is to remember the story, remember the memory that you went on, right? So I think story plays a huge role in a lot of stuff we buy that's for emotional over function. Like the microphone, the computer, you don't need those for that because you don't use it for like emotional gain, if that makes
but
sense.
I think it also depends on, because like our society is inherently materialistic, like based. Like we
Mhm.
love our tangible goods, and so I
And
think
intangible goods.
and intangible goods, but there's a lot of story value with the tangible stuff. And I also think that, based on how much value you put to that item, like the story value will then become that much more important, like to others when you share it. Like for instance, Jack's MacBook might have a different level of story value than what I feel with my MacBook.
Mm.
I also think that story value increases the more we talk about it. Like, if Alex were to actually buy that walking stick, not only will it have the story value of him buying the walking stick, but it'll have the story value of us like being like, oh shit, it would be crazy to talk about a walking stick.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So it's like it feeds off itself.
Yeah,
The story value.
it's like baking trays that have been used in your family.
The-
Like if your mom
That's
makes you like
iconic,
really
yeah.
good
Yep.
food, like you want those trays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
What about intangible stories? Like, why do digital things, non-physical things, have story value? And is it equal to the story value of physical things?
I don't have the same relationship with digital photographs as I do physical ones, for sure.
True. But I think like as a counterexample, you could say like the first Twitter post or the first Instagram posts, those do have story value and they're also digital goods. But I think just based on our psychology, I think that we're driven to value physical possessions stories more than digital possession stories.
So
That makes
if it
sense.
isn't value that we're deriving from digital things, what is it? If it isn't story value, sorry.
Well, I think it's functional value if it's not story value.
Like, I think it's about the fact that, like, it's along the similar veins of, like, AI, which is there's a huge value of quantity and the quality also. And I think it's, like, a positive correlation where if I'm on Facebook and I want to share stories every single day, I can do that. and I can stay connected with friends and do all of that. For other digital goods, I think being able to produce a huge amount is something that adds a lot of value to someone because there's a higher chance of people being able to find it.
I think when it comes to digital goods and like at tangible value, video games are a really good place to start. Like, I mean, I played too much CS:GO during quarantine, and like, if you look at the skins, I granted they're definitely used for money laundering, but like they're like $20,000 skins. But it shows that you like committed yourself to something, like to honing a really big skill. So I think if it relates to you in the real world and what you've done, it might be worth more than something that's just like a photo or something. That like I don't think a photo of the real world is worth that much as a digital item. But I think an entirely digital item from a digital world is probably going to be worth more, especially as we transition to like metaverse-y type things.
I can see that.
Yeah. Well, we're nearing the end of the podcast. So, as a recapping thing, what is something that you're excited about for the next couple of weeks in the AI space, Quasi, just things in general?
Can I go first?
For sure.
Okay, well, I know it's more than a couple of weeks, but I really want to see the multimodal use of GPT-4, especially the image to text, if that's going to be available. Because I think image to text is extremely underrated when it comes to education and like explaining problems, as well as even really good text to image, right? Where you can say, okay, how about this physics problem? I don't get this. Here's the drawing. What am I doing wrong here, right? It could redraw it. It could even like circle things if you think about it. It could like say it could have a text response and say, yeah, this value's changed here. Give you the image with this red circle on it, right? So I think the multimodal value is going to be huge as far as education and obviously tons of other industries. But I think that's something in particular that I want to see with GPT-4.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how especially how Microsoft brings GPT-3 into their products and how the user interaction evolves, because I really don't think that people are going to use the products the same way, but I think that this first iteration of AI and like previously non-AI products is going to be very simple, but it's going to scale up really quickly.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see because like what Google's doing. Because like,
what are they doing?
Like,
Yeah,
what are they doing?
doing?
They have the most data compared to everyone else to make they have all of Google Images to make Imagine amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They have YouTube to make audio really good.
And video.
Oh
And
man, and video.
right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Imagine Video is already they've already had the first version of Imagine Video ready, and they have Lambda, and they've been using with Google Assistant, and Google Duplex. Like, there are so many of these products that are just in Google Brain or Google Research. None of them are being built into products, and I think that's the one difference between Microsoft and Google. Is like Microsoft's just doing product first, which at least we're experiencing and getting a viewfinder in. I want to see Google try to expand into to making actual software stuff and not just doing pixel stuff.
Yeah. On that, I think that they will, but I think Google has to change a little bit culturally, because they were the ones within Google AI research that came up with the architecture of transformers that all of GPT-3 and OpenAI is based off of. They're like the Xerox PARC moment of this decade where they were just sitting on it. So I don't know. I think it's like Google just sits on a lot of things. But anyways, I think that I'm really excited for AI music. I'm hyped. I think it'll be great. I hope Jukebox 2 comes out. Or I know that there's a lot of other AI music stuff happening, but I really think that extending, using a transformers to extend a waveform is going to be the future, rather than using an AI to complete a MIDI file and then playing that on MIDI. I don't know, but yeah, hype.
Stay tuned for AI EDM rave.
Oh my
Coming
god!
soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very exciting. I actually got a clip from an audio, I don't know if it's called audio diffusion, but there's this audio diffusion channel. They did the first EDM thing.
Oh yeah,
There's so much-
Refusion.
Yeah,
Refusion, yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise. People are saying that it was intentional. It's definitely not.
But it adds to the EDM.
It adds to the
It's
EDM vibes.
my ears are failing.
Yeah, your
Actively.
ears are failing. The
And that's
speaker is
that-
totally blown out.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you're hearing.
Yeah.
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 Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you around.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.
Yeah.